This is the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
We have a new, very low bar for the Dallas Cowboys defense to clear. Can you just stop Jacoby Brissett? Just do that much, and maybe the Dallas Cowboys can move back to 500. Welcome in, Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. Mike Leslie, Andrew Cely, here with you once again. Under 24 hours now till Monday Night Football right here on WFA.
Yeah, and a little still 24 hours removed from a very stressful Game 7 in the World Series.
Can you tell? Can you hear?
Like it hasn't been like this since the Olympics and cheering on Team USA.
His larynx is going to jump out of his body right now.
It's rough, man. I was already a little under weather before things started, but I am eager to turn the page because I was disappointed by the result last night, in case you couldn't tell. We have a lot to get into, specifically Cowboys related, so let's get into it with what's on the show.
Here's What's on the Show, sponsored by NFM.
You guys are already looking forward to the headline read. The Cowboys take on the Cardinals tomorrow night right here on WFA. We've got a lot of storylines to break down in advance of a potentially pivotal game. Kyler Murray's absence among them. And I had so much fun coming up with a new game last week. We're doing it again this week with a worse voice. It's the debut of Something or Nothing with a focus on the World Series. And this game is competitive. More on that later on, Mike. That's what's on the show. Now, who's on the show?
Can we get this dude a cup of water, please?
I've got a thermos in between. All right, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Poor dude. We need like some throat coat tea or something, bro. We got to get this guy going.
Everything.
On the show today, Saad Yousuf from The Athletic and our very own Jonah. Gentlemen, we appreciate you being with us as always. What do you two make of Monday Night Football as the Cowboys get ready to take on the Cardinals? Saad, I'll start with you. What do you expect from this matchup and Jacoby Brissett's attempt to look like a superstar against the Cowboys defense?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is obviously the Cowboys defense and how they respond. But I think Jacoby Brissett, look, we're 2 years away, 2 or 3 years removed from the Cowboys playing against the Cardinals in Week 3, I believe, and getting run over by a backup quarterback as well. So I know it's very different circumstances, different players, but for me, it really does boil down to the defense. I have no question about what the offense is going to be able to do, and I think the Cowboys could put up 30 to 40 points. I still don't think that – I'm not confident that the Cowboys will be able to stop Bam Knight, Trey McBride, Jacoby Brissett, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh.
These are guys that have not, aside from McBride, haven't exactly been household names this season. But I still have no confidence in the defense.
All you have to do is look at what the Broncos did today against the Texans. They could hardly move the football against the Houston Texans defense.
And in fairness, the Texans are a good defense, so let's not swing it too far the opposite direction. So
okay.
I do want to give some credit to Houston, all right?
I'm not saying Houston doesn't deserve credit, but
right.
My goodness.
No, I know. Jonah, what sticks out to you most about this matchup?
How much of it is a must-win for the Cowboys? And I hate the hyperbole mid-season, but it really is. I mean, they've got such a gauntlet of a schedule coming down the home stretch that you got to win the games at home against average opponents, average to below average opponents. And I think the Cardinals in this situation, especially with Brissett and a third-string running back in Bam Knight, I mean, it sets up kind of marvelously for the Cowboys to have a solid performance, get a strong win at home, and then try to, figure out whatever their mistakes are, coming down the second half of the season. So, yeah, I mean, I think it is must win in that sense, because if you don't win it, then it seems really, really daunting. So, yeah, in my estimation, they got to come out with a dub, and I think they will.
Yeah, I think he's right, because daunting doesn't even if they lose, it feels impossible.
We've talked about it so much in the first 10 weeks of the season, practically. That's dating back to preseason about how difficult this upcoming stretch is. So, Saad, I'm curious from your perspective. You go Monday night, you go week by week, you go Monday night again. How much does that extra rest and help line up both of these games so you can get into a bit of a rhythm here against bad competition, help set them up for that stretch run?
Yeah, I think the schedule is favorable, but I think it's more so the opponent than I would say the schedule. I think getting the Cardinals and the Raiders before the gauntlet that, we just talked about here, I think that's the key. If you have an extra day to prepare for the Raiders, well, you have a whole extra week, but you have an extra day for the Cardinals. I think that's fine, but I don't think that's, a make or break thing for this Cowboys team. But I do think that these two opponents, to have this lead into the gauntlet stretch that they do have coming up, is important, but also to Jonah's point, it puts this almost at like playoff game territory where you cannot lose these games. These two games in particular, you have to have these in your back pocket. So I think for that reason, yeah, the schedule lines up well, but I'm less concerned about the schedule in terms of the days off. That's going to be more important, by the way, on the other side of Thanksgiving, because that's when everything starts to get a little tighter. On the front side, it's more about the opponent.
Yeah.
The other thing that helps in all of this, if you can get through Monday and get a win and get back to 500, it should be the last game you're playing without DeMarvion Overshown. It may well be the last game you're playing without Savone Revel. You know, there are reinforcements coming. It also may be the last game you play before Jerry Jones makes a trade on Tuesday, possibly, and also helps the defense in that regard. So if you can win on Monday and bring yourself back to 500, 4-4-1 on the year, put yourself in a position where, okay, you've got some good vibes going into the bye week and you've got potentially 2 or 3 or 4 new bodies coming into this defense to make it better for that stretch run, it does change the entire tenor of the 2 weeks to come as we lead into that game against the Raiders.
Jonah, I'm curious. We keep talking about Overshown coming back and some of these reinforcements. How much of a difference do you think they actually will make on this defense?
Marginal, because you don't know what you're going to get from Overshown when he does come back. I mean, the injury that he had, I mean, that's an injury that takes usually a whole year to fully recover from. You think about the history of the NFL, guys who have those types of knee injuries, usually takes a full season for them to get back to what they were previously. He'll still make an impact just because he's that talented. And I don't know. He seems to be like a freak of nature. Just no matter what injury he deals with, he can overcome it and play at a high level. So, I'm optimistic, but the reality of it is, how much can you count on him? I'm not quite sure. It is good news, I guess, for the Cowboys front office that they're playing on a Monday night, because they got to spend all of Sunday, in theory, watching games throughout the league and watching a bunch of teams that are going the wrong direction that may have to do a fire sale on Monday or Tuesday, and that the Cowboys could benefit from, assuming they can prevail on Monday night. If they lose Monday, the thought of making some big trade doesn't seem to make much sense, unless it's a guy that is going to be with the team for 2-3 years down the road. So I think that might actually play a significant role in maybe them making a move. I do look at a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, who lost again this week, heading in the wrong direction, having a Pro Bowl pass rusher in Trey Hendrickson, who needs a home, and he's on an expiring contract at the end of this year. To me, he would be a perfect fit for what the Cowboys are looking for, not too expensive, and a chance to, in theory, contend, because he's playing on a team that won't.
I do think it's important, to your point, Andrew, to remember that, like, DeMarvion Overshown's not going to be the savior for all of this.
Right.
But I also do think when you consider it under if it was just Overshown coming back, how much can you really expect from that? But if they are able to add Savone Revel into the mix, if they are able to make a trade, and it is 3 or 4 more bodies that are adding some life to this defense, and to Jonah's point, is the difference marginal? Perhaps. But marginal might be enough with how good this offense is. If they can just get to the 25th worst defense in the NFL instead of the 31st, that actually might be enough for this team to start winning some football games. Make those 1, 2, 3 just timely stops, and you may be able to win football games. Saad, what do you, as you look forward to that more difficult stretch of the season, and the possibility that this defense could add some new bodies, some new blood to the mix, do you think it can make enough of a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all because of what you just mentioned about how good the offense is. That's what this is all about. And, the onus is really on Brian Schottenheimer here, because I think he has to really coach his butt off in this next month or two of the season, and not really coach in a way that is, I guess, standard or fundamental in how you approach it. You have to be very honest about what unit you have on offense and what you have on defense. You have to go for 4th downs accordingly. Your own 40-yard line is not the same as it is if you have a respectable defense. I think a lot of it, regardless of what they do at the trade deadline, the injury guys coming back, I don't think the defense is all of a sudden going to be any sort of top tier defense or anything close to that. So even if they are in the lower half of the league, it's going to be on Schottenheimer to really make sure that he's playing his offense and taking chances the way that he should, given the talent that he has on that side.
When we come back, more on the Dallas Cowboys and what we can expect from hopefully a kicking game that maybe can get Brandon Aubrey back on the field in a 68-plus yard situation.
I'm so sorry that I made you do the tease right now.
They stole the record. I'm serious. We'll talk more about it here coming up in a second.
Today's headlines, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers.
Elsewhere in the NFC East, the Giants fall to the 49ers 34-24. Philadelphia is on a bye week, and they will face the Packers next week. And in the college ranks, Texas Tech enters the top 10 in this week's AP Top 25. A&M remains third, while Oklahoma and Texas both move up big to 11 and 13 respectively. The first CFP rankings are on Tuesday. It was bad when I recorded it. It sounded worse in hindsight. Anyway, before we get into the specifics on the offense and defense, I just want to say the Cowboys missed multiple opportunities to get Brandon Aubrey the field goal record in some prime situations earlier this year. And now Cam Little hit a 68-yarder today, and he's walking around with the record. We could have had a fantastic storyline, and instead we're just waiting for them to get a drive to stall on the 48 so we can boot a 70-yarder and take it back.
But hang on, because now it may have made the story better.
Oh,
because now he's got to hit a 69-yarder to be able to top the record, or a 70-yarder to top the record. It'll make it that much more impressive if and when it does happen.
Anyway, if he's able to kick...
The only thing this dude wants out of the 2025 season.
Is there anything else to look forward to based off how we've been talking about this team? But more specifically in regards to the offense and how they need to bounce back performance, I brought it up with Jonah, I brought it up with Mike. You have a field goal kicker that can make these kicks on a regular basis. There's no excuse to not get points every drive, especially in Denver, but it didn't quite work out that way. Saad, what specifically from that Denver game needs to change heading into this Cardinals game? And granted, very different defenses.
Yeah, very different defenses. But Andrew, first I'll make a point that having Brandon Aubrey, to your point, that's great. I understand how good he is and why they should get points on every drive. But honestly, I think the defense makes it to where it's hard to use Brandon Aubrey to his fullest potential because you're constantly thinking that 3 is not enough. You got to get 7. So it kind of works both ways where, yeah, the kicker is great, but also the defense is so bad you feel like you can't get 3 points on any drive. So there's that. But in terms of what needs to improve from the Denver game, the offense needs to be a lot better than what they were. The Denver defense is really good, but to Mike's point, and Jonah mentioned this earlier as well, Dak has to be a little bit better. Dak has to understand the situations in the game. For example, late in the first half, when you have 3 points in the bag and you're getting the ball coming out of the break, you can't throw deep down the middle and risk an interception. Those kind of things. I hate to harp on the offense because they've been so good, but that's where the identity of this team is. So I think they need to be better all across the board. They need to get Javonte Williams going, and just the decision making by Dak has to be a little bit crisper.
So I want to jump on that real quick because I do agree that we've been a little hesitant to criticize the offense just because of how good they've been. But at a certain point, and I think Schottenheimer's faced with this reality too, and he's like, I don't want to hear about the offensive stats in more colorful language. We got to win games. To some degree, at a certain point, you know what you're walking in with. So we have to grade them on a curve on some level. It's unfair, but a lot of things in this game are unfair to some degree, Jonah. So I'm curious, what do we need to see from the offense in this game?
My issue is when they are put in positions where they have to play catch up and they kind of get away from the run game. Because what they do and what they do best is play action, or when they're able to really keep the defense on their heels is when the defense doesn't really know what's going to come. If it's going to be a pass, if it's going to be a run. And thereby it sets up CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens to operate in more one-on-ones. It's not an obvious passing situation necessarily. And so really it's about simple things, keeping the game close, and not making forced mistakes. Saad brought up the Denver game, and I think that was really maybe Dak's biggest mistake of the season. I mean, I got to go back through every play, but that at the end of that first half was the first time really all year I thought Dak made a mind-boggling mistake, and that was really about it. So I think in totality, entering this game against a winnable opponent, you get back to what you do best. You run the ball, you keep it balanced, maybe keep time of possession, and yeah, come away with touchdowns. But I think in a matchup against Jacoby Brissett, you would hope that the Cowboys defense can at least improve at home in a bounce back opportunity.
To Saad's point earlier about kicking the field goals with Aubrey, because I know you want to see it happen so bad, and I get it.
All right.
Listen, I do too. Listen, I was a kicker in high school myself. I've got an affinity for what he's doing, and I would love to see him break the record. I think it would be very, very cool. The one thing that frees you up as it relates to the defense, there's no value to punting the football away. Yeah. Whether the opposing offense starts at their own 20 or your 40, they're scoring either way. So kick the field goal and try and get the 3 points. We've got a new game, courtesy of our very own Andrew Cely, after this on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
All right, welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. Brand new game segment this week, Something or Nothing. I've got 3 hot button topics focused on this year's World Series. With each topic, our panel has one chance to convince me whether the controversy is something or nothing. 3 rounds for 3 guests. Winner gets a point. Final round is worth double. Remember, I am the judge, if I sound like it. Time to find out who wants to prove a point or earn a point. Let's start with number 1. Game 3, Shohei Ohtani walked 5 times, including in the bottom of the 9th, with nobody on in a tie game. Ohtani was red hot, but there was thousands of think pieces about whether the intentional walk should be penalized. Saad, lead us off here. Was this something or nothing?
It's something. I think we want to see the theater. Baseball wants to be more interesting. I think there should be a higher penalty put for the intentional walk so that we do get what we want to see, which is the best batters in that moment making the plays. No disrespect to anybody else batting for the Dodgers, but we wanted to see Ohtani that night, and we didn't get to.
This is nothing to me, because what are we going to do? We're just going to crown every superstar athlete and give them more opportunities to show how great they are. We know Shohei's great, but those are the rules. We're going to go back 20 years and give Barry Bonds more opportunities to swing the bat. The rules are the rules. They played within them, and it's a bummer that we didn't see it, but those are the rules.
Mike.
Yeah, listen, I'm disappointed that we didn't see it, but I don't think there's any way you can reasonably penalize an intentional walk. It's part of the game. It's always been part of the game. I would love to see Shohei Ohtani with the bat in his hand with an opportunity to make a game-changing play in a game like that went on forever, but how do you rationally penalize that?
Point goes to Jonah for the Barry Bonds reference. All right, moving on here. Number 2, in Game 7, Ohtani was allowed a lot of extra time to transition from batting to pitching. So much the broadcast came back from commercial break at the beginning of his warm-up. Jonah, lead us off here. Is this something or nothing?
I'll say something, because what he's doing is, extraterrestrial, but also is it fair? And is it what everybody else is getting as a pitcher? The answer would be no. And so thereby, it's not operating within the confines of fairness. And I believe in fairness. I believe in equity in this situation. And just because he's doing something that nobody else in baseball is doing, I don't really care. You got to do it. You maybe do a sprint workout. I don't know. That's for him to figure out. Maybe warm up in the dugout. I don't care.
Mike, Jonah with a strong start. Mike, go. You're next.
What's the issue? The game takes forever anyway. We've already sped it up.
Yeah.
We've already sped it up. An extra what? Was it a minute? A minute and a half? How much time are we actually talking here? What tangible impact was there made on the game? And we are witnessing somebody do something that we haven't seen in baseball in 100 years. I think a minute worth of a warm-up is a worthwhile cost for that product that we're seeing.
Okay, Saad, your thought.
I think it is something, because I think, to Jonah's point, at that point, he's a pitcher. And so now if any pitcher is dealing with a special injury or special circumstance or something, then that pitcher should also. Now, again, we're not talking about him as a baseball player in that moment. We're talking about him as a pitcher in that moment, and other pitchers don't get that, so neither should he.
I like the little bit more intensity from Jonah's perspective. He's up 2-0. Chance to tie here, finally, heading into the third round. After Game 7 was over, Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow were both in the locker room laughing it up at their former club's expense. Both lost the 2020 World Series to the Dodgers as members of the Rays, and they joked, if you can't beat them, join them. Mike, last call here with the final shot, something or nothing.
Hey, if you got money, you got money. The Dodgers have money, and they're willing to spend it. We all want owners to spend money to make their teams better. The Dodgers do that. They went out and got Ohtani. They go out and get these guys that have got a ton of talent, and they reap the reward for it.
Spoken like a New Yorker. Saad, jump in here.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this with the first topic, the rules are the rules. Well, there is no salary cap. Teams can spend whatever they want. We saw the Rangers do it. They got a World Series for it. If other teams want to do it, pay up. Put your money where your mouth is.
Jonah?
Say it's something they can feel that way. I just wouldn't have said that publicly because now we're talking about it and it's horribly unnecessary. But yeah, to your point, they're using all these other teams as farm systems. They're also using Japanese leagues as farm systems and plugging some unbelievable talent internationally, and that's why they are the World Series champs back to back.
Man, Jonah's just speaking sweet nothings into my ear. That's 4-0. That's a sweep. Thank you, Saad and Jonah, for your time this evening. We really appreciate it. Mike's final take coming up next, and I'm going to get another throat lozenge.
I'm not convinced that Arch Manning is fixed per se, but I am convinced that those of you who wrote him off a month ago were vastly premature in all of that. The last couple of games, he has finally looked like he's got some zip on the ball. I think the conjecture that he was hurt had something to it, and I think that Steve Sarkisian was trying to tamp it down and have nobody notice. Sark, we all noticed, but we're also noticing that now he certainly seems to be getting healthier and he's playing a heck of a lot better, and all of a sudden Texas is viable once again.
Do we agree with Texas being under Oklahoma in the rankings, or?
They did beat them head-to-head. I mean,
yeah.
If they're going to be as close as they are, 11-13, it does make some sense at this point to flip-flop them, yeah.
We'll see if that holds true as the playoff rankings come out
That's
this
true.
week.
All that matters is what comes out on Tuesday.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for watching the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. We'll see y'all next week.
Keep talking. Keep
talking.
This has been the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.